All things begin again when the dawn appears. Yet not everything that rises with the sun is truly awake. The fields stretch wide, the rivers move, the birds lift their wings, but how many souls rise with the same clarity? You may open your eyes and still remain asleep, carried by yesterday's worries or tomorrow's storms. The Stoics whispered that each morning is not owed to you, but granted. To breathe is not a right, but a mercy. To feel the pulse within your chest is not a routine, but a miracle that vanishes as quickly as dew on grass. Still, most wander through their days, blind to this wonder, rolling from sleep into restlessness, seeking noise before silence, distraction before direction. And so they stumble into a world already rushing, already demanding, already tearing at their attention. But you stand at the threshold of the day. Before the shouts, before the burdens, before the winds of chance scatter your thoughts like leaves, there lies a still space. It is yours alone. What you place there at first light becomes the seed of your hours. If gratitude is sown, resilience will grow. If calm is sown, wisdom will rise. If presence is sown, strength will follow. Consider then, is life not brief enough, fragile enough, uncertain enough, that to squander its opening notes is to forfeit the entire melody? You are not guaranteed another dawn. Yet here it is offered without price. The question is not whether the day will come, it already has. The question is, will you meet it awake? Or will you drift as if life were endless and mornings disposable? The choice, as always, begins with a breath. I am grateful to be here. The morning sky does not shout its arrival. It arrives quietly, spilling light across stone and soil, drawing color back into the world. In that gentle unveiling, you are given something immeasurable, the chance to be present once more. Gratitude begins not in polished rituals or elaborate routines, but in the simplest recognition you are alive, and this breath is yours. Too often you measure life by what is missing: goals, not reached wounds, not healed promises unkept. But gratitude interrupts that spiral. It tells you before striving, before longing, before even naming your grief, you already possess enough. Enough air to sustain you, enough strength to rise, enough time to choose again. When you feel this truth, it does not weaken ambition. It strengthens the root from which ambition grows. For what good is striving without knowing the soil beneath your feet is already sacred? The philosophers of old understood this. Socrates spoke of the unexamined life as unworthy, but what is examination if not attention? And what is attention if not presence? To examine life does not mean to wrestle endlessly with its puzzles, but to awaken fully to its pulse. When you place your hand upon your chest in the first stillness of morning, you remember that this body is not an accident nor a guarantee. It is a vessel you inhabit briefly, and with that realization comes reverence. Gratitude does not blind you to pain, it sharpens your sight. You see clearly that hardship too is part of the gift, that sorrow proves you can feel, that struggle proves you can endure. That joy is never cheapened, but made more radiant by contrast. In this way, gratitude becomes not a soft sentiment, but a warrior's armor. Against the arrows of complaint, it shields. Against the poison of envy, it purifies. Against the fog of entitlement, it clears the path. Consider how differently the day unfolds when it is entered with thanks. Without gratitude, every obstacle feels like an insult. With it, even delays, even disappointments, are reshaped into opportunities to practice strength. You are no longer chasing peace as if it lies ahead. You begin the day already within it. This is the profound shift from reacting to life's demands, like a slave, to meeting them as a free soul. Aristotle once declared, that happiness depends upon ourselves. This was not the boast of self-sufficiency, but the recognition that joy cannot be bartered for or borrowed. It grows from within. Gratitude is the seed of that inward flourishing. The moment you rise and whisper, "I am grateful to be here," you reclaim authorship of the day. You remind yourself that life need not be flawless to be fulfilling. It need only be received with open hands. So let the dawn be your teacher. Do not demand of it a brighter hue or a longer span. Accept the light as it comes, and in that acceptance discover abundance. For the one who begins with gratitude cannot be shaken easily. Their roots reach deep and their branches stretch skyward, prepared for wind or calm alike. You are here. That is the beginning. That is the gift. That is enough. Yesterday does not own me. The night is gone, yet many rise carrying its shadows. Old words spoken in haste still echo, mistakes replay themselves like a haunting melody, and regrets cling to the heart like damp garments that will not dry. You may wake in a new day, but remain shackled to the remnants of the old. This is why your first act must be release. Freedom begins with a boundary. You draw it the moment you declare, "Yesterday does not own me." With those words, the tide of memory loses its claim upon your present shore. You acknowledge the past. Yes, it shaped you. Yes, it left its scars, but you deny its sovereignty over the dawn. What has happened may explain, but it cannot dictate. You stand now at the border between what has been and what may yet be. To carry yesterday into today is to drag a heavy chest across a desert, exhausting yourself before the journey begins. To set it down is to walk unburdened, ready to meet the horizon. The Stoics were not naive. They did not counsel denial of grief or error. They urged instead the discipline of discernment, to take the lesson and leave the weight. A warrior keeps the scar as memory, but does not wear the armor of old battles when entering new ground. You too are called to this discipline. Release is not weakness, it is wisdom. To linger endlessly over the same wound is to keep it open. To close it is not to forget, but to allow healing. Carl Jung once wrote, "I am not what happened to me, I am what I choose to become." In those words lies the power of rebirth. Yesterday may contain failure, betrayal, or sorrow. Yet none of these are final unless you surrender to them. Every dawn is a page unwritten. Will you stain it with the same ink, or will you let the parchment breathe so that a new story may be inscribed? The choice is yours, and it is renewed every morning. Practice this as you lie in the stillness before rising. Imagine the burdens you clutch. Regret, shame, missed chances as stones in a pack upon your back. With a single breath, picture lowering that pack to the ground. Hear the thud, feel the release in your shoulders, sense the air returning to your lungs. Do not carry it again. Leave it where it belongs, in the dust of what has already passed. Aristotle taught that habit forms character. Make release your habit. Let the ritual of letting go become as natural as drawing breath. For the more often you practice it, the lighter your steps become, the swifter your recovery, the stronger your resolve. Soon, you are no longer the one who endlessly replays yesterday's errors. You are the one who learns swiftly and moves on, who forgives quicker, who chooses peace with intention. Remember this: the past had its chance. The day before has already spoken. To grant it power over today is to betray the gift of this moment. The sun does not rise carrying yesterday's darkness. It dispels it. You are asked to do the same. So whisper it with conviction: yesterday does not own me. Let those words carve space between who you were and who you are becoming. That space is freedom. That space is the path. And in that space you walk forward, unshackled, unbound, alive. Third, I control my mind. You may wonder why unease comes before the day has even begun. The body rests, yet the mind awakens, restless, scattering in many directions. Thoughts rush in like startled birds, beating their wings against the walls of your skull. In that chaos, you feel as though you are already behind, already defeated, before the sun has even climbed the sky. But here lies the truth: you are not the birds, nor the flutter of wings. You are the sky itself, vast, unbroken, serene. Clouds may pass across its face, storms may rumble for a time, but the sky remains untouched. So too with your mind. Thoughts will come and go, but you are not bound to chase them. The Stoics declared that true strength does not lie in ruling others, nor in bending fate to your will. Strength is found in the quiet mastery of your own response. Marcus Aurelius, who bore the weight of empire, reminded himself each morning, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What could be more liberating than that? The storms beyond your control may rage without ceasing, but the citadel within is yours to guard. Sit with yourself for a single minute at dawn. Nothing ornate is required. No chants, no altars, no elaborate preparations. Only stillness. Inhale slowly, exhale slower still. Let thoughts arrive as they will, but hold them as you would. Passing travelers acknowledge but do not detain. Between the stimulus and the response lies a narrow space, and in that space lives freedom. Each morning is your chance to reclaim it. Plato spoke of the first and greatest victory being the conquest of self. It is not a conquest won once, but one renewed daily. Each time you resist the pull of anger, you are victorious. Each time you refuse to be ruled by fear, you are victorious. Each time you choose patience over impulse, you ascend your own throne. And yet do not confuse mastery with perfection. You will stumble, you will forget. The mind is wild, and sometimes it will drag you where you did not intend to go. But awareness itself is already a return. To notice is to awaken. To awaken is to reclaim your authority. Tell yourself each morning, "I control my mind." Speak it not as boast, but as reminder, as vow. For when you begin the day with this truth, you walk through the hours armored not in steel, but in clarity. No insult can pierce it. No distraction can snatch it away. You become the calm one in the crowded hall, the still flame amid the wind. Your mind is not your enemy. It is your steed. If you hold the reins, it carries you toward purpose. If you let go, it drags you into ruin. So take the reins at dawn. Grip them with steady hand, and ride not where the world pulls, but where your soul decides. Kindness is my strength. A traveler once entered a village scarred by drought. The people were weary, sharp with one another, hoarding what little remained. He carried no riches, no food, no water, only a calm presence and a gentle word for each he met. Some looked upon him with suspicion, others with indifference. Yet slowly, like rain soaking dry soil, his kindness began to soften the ground of their hearts. A well was dug, not because he commanded it, but because his spirit reminded them they still belonged to one another. Kindness is not weakness. It is not the soft surrender of one who avoids conflict or hides from truth. Kindness is a discipline, a strength hidden beneath gentleness, a fire that warms rather than burns. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Kindness is invincible if it is sincere. What weapon can truly wound the one who meets cruelty with clarity, insult with composure, and malice with steady grace?" Such a person is not fragile but unshakable, for their strength does not depend on another's behavior. In a world that mistakes harshness for power, kindness becomes a quiet form of rebellion. To react with anger is common. To respond with patience is rare. To mirror hostility requires no effort. To hold steady in compassion requires mastery of the self. This is why kindness is not a performance, but an inner stance. It begins before words are spoken, before actions are taken. It is formed in the silence of your own heart, when you decide not to be ruled by pride or fear. Remember, each person you meet carries unseen battles. Their bitterness may be the smoke of grief, their cruelty, the armor of old wounds. To see this does not excuse their actions, but it frees you from hatred. Socrates once urged, "Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle." If you carry this awareness, you cease to take the sharp edges of others so personally. You respond not from ego, but from clarity. Practice this at dawn. Envision one act of kindness you will offer today. It need not be grand. Perhaps a word of encouragement, a listening ear, a gesture of patience when provoked. These small acts are stones dropped in still water. Their ripples extend beyond sight. And what is most remarkable is that the ripples return to you. By living kindly, you remind yourself of who you are building, to be not ruled by impulse, but guided by intention. Let this truth settle within you. Kindness is my strength. Whisper it as you rise and carry it into your encounters. Not because the world will always reward it, often it will not, but because it aligns you with virtue, and virtue is the only fortress that endures. Strength is not to dominate, but to stand uncorrupted. Strength is not to harden, but to remain whole. In a world quick to wound, the gentlest hand may leave the deepest mark. And when you live this way, you carry not only your own peace, but you awaken it in others sometimes, without a word, only with presence. Thus, kindness is not a gift you give to be admired. It is the core of a life well lived, a quiet power the world cannot erode. And when morning comes, it is the cloak most worthy to wear. Everything is temporary. So I will enjoy this moment. All rivers hurry toward the sea, yet none can pause long enough to keep a single drop. So it is with life, fleeting, vanishing, more fragile than we wish to admit. What you love today will fade. What you fear today will also fade. The joy of triumph, the sting of loss, the weight of sorrow all dissolve into time. To resist this truth is to suffer. To embrace it is to awaken. The Stoics carried a phrase upon their tongues, memento mori, remember that you must die. Not as a shadow meant to darken the spirit, but as a torch meant to sharpen its vision. For when you know that tomorrow is not promised, today becomes luminous. The meal before you, the warmth of another's voice, the quiet rhythm of your breath. These are not ordinary. They are miracles already slipping through your fingers. You may be tempted to look always beyond the horizon. When I arrive, then I will live. When I succeed, then I will rest. But the horizon never stops moving. Chase it long enough, and you will discover you have missed the very ground you walked upon. Plato spoke of time as the moving image of eternity. It flows endlessly, and you are carried upon it. You cannot dam its current, but you can choose to drink while the water is here. Presence is not easy. The mind flees backward to regrets or forward to worries. Yet your true dwelling is only here in this breath, in this instant. Seneca reminded us that true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. Let the words sink in without anxious dependence. Joy is not found in securing every outcome, but in loosening your grip and receiving what already is. Try this pause even for a single heartbeat. Feel the air move into your lungs, feel the ground steady beneath your feet. Listen for whatever sound lingers nearby, wind bird or silence itself. In that pause, you are no longer prisoner to what has been or what may come. You are free. When you rise in the morning and tell yourself everything is temporary, so I will enjoy this moment, you are not resigning to despair. You are consecrating the fragile beauty of what is. You are saying this sunlight, this breath, this chance to love, this chance to endure it is enough. And because it is temporary, it is precious. Let the impermanence of all things be your teacher. It does not rob life of meaning, it gives it. For only what ends can be cherished. Only what fades can be fully seen. So hold today, not as if it were endless, but as if it were sacred. Because it is. Peace does not come when the world is quiet. Peace comes when you decide to meet the world with stillness, even as it roars. You have walked through 5 truths at the edge of dawn: gratitude, release, mastery, kindness, presence. Each one is a thread, and together they weave a cloak you may carry into the storm. Think of how the day unfolds, for most pulled forward by yesterday's shadows, by thoughts they cannot master, by bitterness, by endless grasping at what does not last. They live as if mornings are infinite, as if time itself is theirs to command. But you have seen otherwise. You know that each dawn is a gift undeserved, a page still blank, a fire still waiting to be kindled. Do not mistake this practice for ornament, as if you were adding another habit to decorate your life. These meditations are not accessories. They are foundations. A house built without them leans at the first wind. But a soul rooted in them stands firm, unshaken by insult, delay, or loss. When you wake tomorrow, the world will again clamor for your attention. Its noise will seek to fill the silence before you even take your first breath. But you will remember silence belongs to you first. You will whisper the words that draw the boundary, that light the torch, that steady the hand. You will breathe as one who knows this breath may be the last, and therefore it is holy. And when you step into the day, whether it greets you with calm or with trial, you will carry within you something unyielding. Not pride, not armor of stone, but clarity, quiet, luminous, unshakable. For transformation does not begin in victories the world can see. It begins where no one is watching, in the unseen pause at dawn, in the first breath that reminds you, I am here. Yesterday is gone. My mind is mine. My strength is kindness. This moment is enough. And from that beginning, the rest of life flows.